So today I want to talk to you about what it might be like for you if you suspect you might be in a relationship that's toxic, or if you're involved with somebody with borderline personality disorder, a narcissist, somebody with a sociopath or a psychopath, somebody that has trouble processing empathy. I'm going to share kind of a personal story, or a very personal story, actually. I was married to somebody like this for years, and I started going to a therapist because I thought, in my mind, I have, you could say, I have hero syndrome. I have this desire to rescue people. I have a high degree of empathy. I'm very sensitive. I like to connect with people. I value relationships, and I didn't really understand at the time that people like me are kind of like a food source. That my personality kind of is like a lighthouse in the middle of the night that calls in predators, emotional predators. And I just viewed myself as somebody that could rescue my wife. I knew she had a rough childhood. I knew that she'd been through some things. And I wanted to prove to her what love looked like. I wanted to prove to her how strong somebody would be if they were actually in love with her. I wanted to prove to her how good I saw her. I wanted to prove to her how forgiving I could be. I just had this vision in my mind of how strong and enduring and long suffering and stable and determined a man in love would look like. And I just imagined that would be inspiring to her, and that I might be able to reach her. You know what I mean? Touch her heart, and just change everything the moment she realized that I wasn't going to run away from her. So it was one of those situations where I was constantly being abused physically, emotionally. I was getting punched. I was being hit. I was being kicked. There was one time she took her hands like this and the fingernails, and she just jammed them in my face while I was holding things trying to load the car up, and she just bloodied my face. There were times where she would throw things at me while I was holding our daughter. Just some horrible situations like that, but I would always talk myself into finding a way to stay. And at the end of it, I would usually think, yeah, but if I could forgive her for something this bad, then deep down, she's going to admire me so much. She's going to be so thankful that I'm there for her. So that was my mindset. And I went to see my therapist, who I'd been to a few times. This was maybe my fourth or fifth time to visit this therapist. And she ended up, she listened to the weekly update that I had just been through that week. And at the end of it, she said, so you're pretty determined to teach her what strong real love looks like, aren't you? I can tell. And I thought, I was kind of proud of myself in the moment. And I thought, yeah, I just want her to know what it's like to really be loved. And I think that would change her. And she said, would you be surprised to know that she's probably disgusted by you? And it kind of knocked the emotional air out of me. And I said, what? And she said, would it surprise you if I told you that when she looks at you, you repulse her because she thinks you're so pathetically weak? And I said, well, how do you know? Even though I knew she was right. And she said, well, because you tolerate all kinds of behavior. You tolerate all kinds of treatment. You have no standard of respect for yourself. There's nothing she couldn't do to you that you wouldn't find a way to stay. She said, you told me a story where she peed in your drinking water and then turned the lights down and waited for you to take a drink so she could laugh at you. What makes you think that she doesn't just look at you and think about how pathetic you are? And I felt like this anger and embarrassment and humiliation just kind of wash over me. And I said, but still, how do you know that? And she said, well, do you have children? And I said, yeah, I have two. And she said, when they threw a fit or they threw a tantrum and they called you names or they screamed at you, what'd you do? I said, and I laughed and I said, well, when my children threw a tantrum, they said no. And I would say yes. And they would say, I want it. And I would say no. But it didn't hurt my feelings enough to give in to a child. And if my children kept pushing it, then I would just up the discipline to teach them that you don't throw a fit and get your way. And she said, so why do you allow something and excuse something in a grown-up that you wouldn't tolerate in children? And she said, and if you did, let's imagine that your kids did tell you that you were a loser. And what if your kids called you an idiot? Would you pick them up and give them a hug and tell them how much you love them? Or would you take away their favorite dessert Would you take away their PlayStation? Would you teach them a lesson and say that there's a minimal amount of respect that you demand as a father? And I said I would do the second thing. And she said, but you think if you tolerate it and encourage it and just show affection and love for your wife, she's going to wake up one day and realize that she's been a bully and you've been a strong man that's worthy of her admiration? She said, your wife is throwing a tantrum. Your wife is treating you with no respect. Your wife is showing you every day that you are so far beneath her, she has no reason to show you any respect. And every day you're proving that she's right. So that was a really painful moment for me, but it changed me. And I realized it was really vanity that made me think that I could be so good that I could inspire her to stop being bad. It just doesn't work like that. And it's obnoxious of me, and it's ineffective with her. The truth is, these people are just like everybody else. They are who they choose to be. And you tolerating being treated like you're worthless only slowly convinces yourself and them that you are worthless. So it's kind of a painful personal lesson. But and this was after I'd had years of relationship training, by the way. You just kind of slowly find yourself drifting into this position, and you find that your thoughts and your beliefs have been warped just a little bit because you continually redefine what respect is. So hopefully that helps. If it is helpful, please give us a like and subscribe, and come back soon for more videos, and I'll be posting things soon. All right, thanks.